World War II was the deadliest and most impactful conflict in human history. It completely destroyed the global political order of the world we knew before 1914. Millions of people had their lives changed forever, and the fate of entire nations hung in the balance. So here's how World War II began. The seeds of war are often planted long before the first shot is fired. And in the case of World War II, the blame lies squarely on the shoulders of the victors of the previous war. The treaty was a bitter pill for Germany to swallow. He appointed himself Chancellor in January of 1933 and went about consolidating power. One of his first acts was to outlaw all political parties except the Nazi Party, effectively ending any meaningful opposition to his regime. He then set about rearming Germany in spite of the restrictions placed upon it by the Treaty of Versailles, which included paying for the cost of replacing merchant ships that were sunk during the war, funding the rehabilitation of civilian enterprises in occupied areas, and covering damages sustained by neutral countries. The invasion of Poland marked the beginning of a new and terrifying era in warfare, one that would forever change the course of human history. If you liked this video, hit that subscribe button and tell us in the comments what we should cover in our next video. The policy of appeasement towards Hitler culminated in the Munich Agreement of September 29, 1938, when Britain and France allowed Hitler to annex the Sudetenland region of Czechoslovakia without firing a single shot. But Hitler was not satisfied with this victory. The imposition of these harsh reparations resulted in hyperinflation. By 1923, a single US dollar was worth more than 4 trillion German marks. On August 23, 1939, Hitler signed the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact with Soviet leader Joseph Stalin, which included a secret protocol that divided eastern Poland between them. 3 days later, German troops marched into Poland, beginning the invasion that would kick off the start of World War II. People needed to carry around wheelbarrows of money for basic goods and services. German troops poured across the border into Poland in a massive surprise attack. What followed was a brilliant display of military tactics known as Blitzkrieg, or Lightning War. German forces used fast-moving tanks and aircraft to quickly penetrate Poland's defenses, allowing them to rapidly advance deep into the country. They cut off key roads and bridges, preventing the Polish army from regrouping or mounting an effective defense. Even the Polish Air Force, which was one of the best in Europe at the time, was caught off guard by the suddenness and intensity of the German attack. Within just over a week, the Germans had managed to push deep into Poland and surround key cities such as Warsaw. Despite the bravery of the Polish soldiers, who fought fiercely to defend their homeland, the Polish army was simply outmatched and overwhelmed by the sheer force of the German war machine. The non-stop aerial bombardments and relentless tank assaults left the Polish forces demoralized and depleted. As the situation grew increasingly desperate, Poland's allies, Britain and France, prepared to intervene. However, their support came too late to make a significant impact on the battle. On September 27, 1939, less than a month after the war began, Poland officially surrendered. The German occupation of Poland was swift and brutal. The Nazi regime wasted no time in asserting its dominance over the newly conquered territory. The atrocities committed by the Germans against the Polish people were systematic and widespread. Entire villages were wiped out, with men, women and children murdered in cold blood. Those who survived the initial attacks were often taken to concentration camps where they were subjected to forced labor, torture, and medical experimentation. The German occupation of Poland marked a turning point in European history. The Blitzkrieg tactics employed by the Germans demonstrated the incredible destructive potential of modern warfare. The speed and brutality of the attack shocked the world and served as a warning of what was to come. The fall of Poland sent shockwaves across Europe and beyond. The international community was stunned by the speed and efficiency with which the Germans had conquered an entire nation. The news of the atrocities being committed against the Polish people caused widespread outrage and revulsion. It took 200 trillion marks to buy a loaf of bread. Soldiers paid to fight World War I by the German government had to borrow money just to get themselves a bite to eat. A new currency was issued, the Rentenmark, which was initially pegged to agricultural land. Then in 1924, the Dawes Plan stabilized the currency with a loan from US banks. This economic disaster led to social unrest, paving the way for extremist parties like the Nazis to rise to prominence. It placed the blame for the war squarely on Germany's shoulders, forcing them to accept full responsibility for the loss and destruction that had occurred throughout Europe. To add insult to injury, the treaty stripped away nearly all of Germany's territorial possessions and imposed crippling reparations on the country, which totaled 1.32 billion gold marks, or the modern-day equivalent of about $270 billion. The goal was to cripple Germany's economy and ensure that it would take a very long time for them to recover, if they ever did at all. After the defeat of Germany and the Central Powers in World War I, the victorious Allied powers, led by Britain and France, sought to punish Germany harshly. The result was the Treaty of Versailles, a document that many historians believe was so punitive that it created the conditions for another war. On June 28, 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed, officially ending the state of war between Germany and the Allied powers. In hindsight, the strategy backfired spectacularly. The German economy did indeed collapse under the weight of these reparations. Hitler exploits the misery and anger among the population and rose to power by promising to restore Germany to greatness. As Hitler rearmed Germany and remilitarized the Rhineland, the other European powers failed to take any meaningful action to stop him. On March 15, 1939, German troops marched into the rest of Czechoslovakia and the country became a puppet state of Nazi Germany. Blitzkrieg in Poland. The invasion of Poland was unlike anything Europe had seen before. As the dust settled over Poland, the stage was set for the next chapter in the saga of World War II. And that's all for today.